The American West, a land of vast plains, towering mountains, and endless skies. This region, with its breathtaking landscapes and untamed beauty, has always been a symbol of freedom and possibility. It held the promise of adventure, opportunity, and a new life. For many, the West was a blank canvas, a place where they could paint their dreams and aspirations. For centuries, this untamed frontier beckoned to pioneers and dreamers alike. The call of the West was irresistible, a siren song that promised a better future. In the late 19th century, the allure of the West reached a fever pitch. Towns sprang up almost overnight, bustling with activity and the hope of prosperity. The discovery of gold in California in 1848 ignited a mass migration westward. This event, known as the Gold Rush, drew people from all walks of life, each hoping to find their fortune. Thousands of fortune seekers, fueled by gold fever, abandoned their homes and embarked on perilous journeys to strike it rich. They faced countless challenges, from treacherous terrain to harsh weather conditions. This westward expansion was fueled by a belief in manifest destiny. This powerful ideology proclaimed that it was the United States' divine mission to expand its dominion and spread democracy and capitalism across the entire North American continent. Manifest destiny was more than just a belief. It was a driving force that shaped the nation's policies and actions. It justified the expansion and the often harsh measures taken to achieve it. The lure of cheap land, abundant resources, and the chance to start anew proved irresistible to many Americans. They saw the West as a land of endless possibilities, where hard work and determination could lead to success. Farmers, seeking fertile soil and a fresh start, loaded their families and belongings onto covered wagons and set out on the long and arduous journey west. The Oregon Trail became a symbol of hope and perseverance. The railroads, rapidly expanding across the nation, promised to connect the East Coast to the Pacific, further fueling the westward movement. These iron horses transformed the landscape and made travel faster and more efficient. The conquest of the West was a period of immense transformation. Towns grew into cities, and the infrastructure needed to support this growth was built with determination and hard work. It shaped the nation's identity, economy, and social fabric. The stories of the West became an integral part of American culture, influencing literature, art, and even the national psyche. The stories of the pioneers, cowboys, Native Americans, and outlaws of this era continue to captivate and inspire generations. These tales of bravery, adventure, and conflict are woven into the very fabric of American history. But this expansion came at a cost, particularly for the Native American tribes who called these lands home for centuries. Their way of life was forever altered, and many were displaced from their ancestral lands. The clash of cultures led to numerous conflicts and treaties, many of which were broken. The impact of this westward expansion on Native American communities is a somber chapter in American history. Today, the legacy of the West lives on in the preserved historical sites and the cultural heritage that continues to be celebrated. The spirit of the pioneers and the lessons of the past remain a vital part of the American story. The federal government played a pivotal role in encouraging and facilitating westward expansion, a movement that would shape the future of the nation. Driven by a desire to settle the West and solidify its control over the vast territories acquired through treaties and conquest, the government saw an opportunity to expand its influence and resources. To achieve this, the government enacted a series of policies designed to incentivize westward migration, offering various forms of support and encouragement to settlers willing to brave the unknown. The Homestead Act of 1862 stands as a landmark piece of legislation that profoundly shaped the westward expansion of the United States. This act was a bold move to populate the Western territories with industrious citizens. This act granted 160 acres of public land to any adult citizen or intended citizen who had never borne arms against the U.S. government. It was a promise of opportunity and a new beginning for many. All that was required was a small filing fee and a commitment to reside on and cultivate the land for a period of 5 years. This simple yet effective requirement ensured that the land would be developed and used productively. Recognizing the importance of education in developing the West, Congress passed the Morrill Land Grant Act in 1862. This act was another strategic move to ensure the success and sustainability of the Western territories. This act granted public lands to states and territories to finance the establishment of colleges specializing in agriculture and mechanical arts. These institutions were crucial in providing the necessary education and skills to the settlers. These land-grant colleges, many of which evolved into today's state universities, played a crucial role in disseminating knowledge and skills essential for the development of the West. They became centers of learning and innovation, driving progress in agriculture and industry. Perhaps no technological innovation had a greater impact on westward expansion than the Transcontinental Railroad. This monumental project was a testament to human ingenuity and determination. Completed in 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad connected the eastern and western United States by rail for the first time. It was a significant achievement that transformed the landscape of the nation. This engineering marvel facilitated the transportation of people, goods, and ideas across the continent, shrinking travel times from months to days. It opened up new possibilities for commerce, communication, and cultural exchange, knitting the country together in unprecedented ways. The westward expansion of the United States had a devastating impact on Native American tribes. This period, often romanticized in American history, was marked by profound suffering and loss for the indigenous peoples who had called these lands home for millennia. For centuries, these indigenous peoples had lived in harmony with the land, relying on its bounty for their sustenance and cultural survival. Their societies were deeply connected to the natural world, with traditions and lifestyles that reflected a profound respect for the environment. However, the arrival of European settlers and the relentless push westward disrupted their way of life and led to widespread displacement, suffering, and cultural annihilation. The settlers brought with them new diseases, unfamiliar customs, and a voracious appetite for land, all of which contributed to the erosion of Native American cultures. As white settlers moved westward, they encroached upon Native American lands, often claiming territory that had been promised to tribes in treaties. These treaties were frequently broken or renegotiated under duress, leaving Native American tribes with little recourse. The discovery of gold and other valuable resources on Native American lands further fueled tensions and led to violent confrontations. The lure of wealth drew thousands of settlers into territories that were sacred and essential to the survival of Native American tribes. The U.S. government, committed to westward expansion, often sided with settlers in these disputes. Policies were enacted that favored the interests of settlers and the burgeoning American economy over the rights and well-being of Native American tribes. The U.S. Army played a central role in the displacement of Native Americans. Military campaigns were launched to remove Native American tribes from their lands, often resulting in brutal conflicts and significant loss of life. Through a series of wars, massacres, and forced relocations, the Army drove Native Americans from their ancestral homelands and onto reservations. These actions were justified under the guise of progress and civilization, but they inflicted deep wounds on Native American communities. These reservations were often located on undesirable land, far from traditional hunting grounds and sources of sustenance. The relocation severed the connection between Native Americans and their ancestral lands, disrupting their cultural practices and ways of life. In 1887, Congress passed the Dawes Act, officially titled the General Allotment Act. This legislation was part of a broader effort to assimilate Native Americans into American society by undermining their communal landholding systems. This legislation aimed to assimilate Native Americans into mainstream American society by breaking up tribally held lands and allotting them to individual households. The goal was to encourage farming and self-sufficiency, but it often led to further loss of land and cultural disintegration. The Dawes Act had a devastating impact on Native American communities, resulting in the loss of millions of acres of tribal land. The fragmentation of land holdings weakened tribal cohesion and made it easier for non-native individuals to acquire these lands, further eroding the cultural and economic foundations of Native American societies. The vast grasslands of the American West, stretching from Texas to Montana, provided ideal conditions for raising cattle. After the Civil War, a new industry arose, the cattle kingdom. Texas, with its vast herds of longhorn cattle, became the center of this booming industry. Cowboys, often romanticized in literature and film, played a crucial role in the cattle kingdom. These skilled horsemen, often from diverse backgrounds, were responsible for herding cattle across vast distances, branding them, and driving them to market. The long cattle drives, often lasting months, were fraught with danger from stampedes, weather, and conflict with Native Americans. The expansion of the railroad network into the West revolutionized the cattle industry. Railroads provided a faster, more efficient way to transport cattle to markets in the East, where demand for beef was high. Towns along the railroad lines, such as Abilene, Dodge City, and Cheyenne, became bustling cattle towns, serving as hubs for the cattle trade. As the cattle industry boomed, competition for land and resources intensified. Ranchers clashed with farmers, who were also moving westward and fencing off land for crops. The invention of barbed wire in 1874 revolutionized fencing and contributed to the decline of the open range.